introducing myself. Everyone here, I don't see any guests. I see a new swing of things, but as the principal of Sumter Alternative Schools, I wanted to welcome you before we get started with our SIP presentation, our school improvement plan presentation. We are very excited about doing this presentation, and we hope and pray that we're able to effectively communicate all the wonderful things that we have going on here at our school. A few thank yous. I want to thank the faculty and staff for their participation in our plan and all of their feedback and support of our plan. Certainly to Mr. Shirley and our chairperson of our school board and school board members, district staff, and other guests. Thank you for attending our school improvement plan presentation 2014-15. Mr. Anderson, who's in our aspiring administrators program, will be presenting our presentation, and I'm going to turn this portion of our presentation over to Mr. Anderson. Thank you.
Thank you. If it's okay with everybody, I've got approval to turn the lights off. They won't go too dark, but it'll help with the PowerPoint. And I'm going to get on the other side here because we're videotaping. Welcome to Sumter Alternative. We're excited about what's going on here. New principal and several new staff members. So let's just get started with the PowerPoint. And you can see our teachers and staff. Mr. Presley is our brand new principal, even though he's not a brand new principal, but we're very excited to have him and going to talk about some of the changes that he has initiated and we have been making around here. We also have a behavioral specialist, Miss Shelley Ward. She's in the back. Everybody, she's waving. She's staffed or housed on campus here. She works at some other schools also. And then Miss Gray, our math teacher, wave to everybody, Miss Gray, a new addition to the county and our school. And then Miss Lynch, reading teacher. There you go, took Miss Pam Johnson's place. And then Mr. Hart is also, he had to leave. He was here just a minute ago, but he is one of our paraprofessionals. So we've had several changes since last year, and very excited about those changes. Just can't say enough about some of the new teachers and just incredible. Some more new happenings. I hope everybody walked around the outside, and we wanted to show off some signs. I hope you saw the overhead signs, and we'll get to what those signs are all about in a little bit. And our cafeteria expansion. You're only sitting in half of the cafeteria. Last year this was the whole cafeteria, but our leader had this incredible idea to make the other room that you walk through the high school cafeteria. So they come through here, they get their lunch or their breakfast, and the high school goes over there and the middle school is over here, and it's already paying dividends as far as behavior, discipline, and just more room. You know, makes it, you know, because sometimes high schoolers like to feel like, you know, they're not with the middle schoolers. It's incredible idea. The chats with the principal. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but that's something that Mr. Presley has initiated where he has a schedule for each student that's on our campus to visit with him in his office, talk about their goals, their plans, explain academics, explain what a GPA is. You'd be surprised how many high school students, you know, don't really understand what a GPA is, how important it is to maintain at least a 2.0, or hopefully a whole lot better than that. How important it is to pass, well, for those last year, that FCAT reading, that 10th grade reading. How important it is to make sure you have your core courses taken care of. All those sorts of things. And just to get to know the principal. He's a real person. He doesn't just sit in the office up there. But he cares. He's on their side. So that's a new thing. We've already talked about the behavioral specialist, and I will talk about our school-wide expectations a little later, and our PBS, our Positive Behavioral Support System, and our inclusion models. We'll get to those. Now we're going to look at a few slides that just are some basic data. And I'll try to explain, because these are just a little bit different than what you may see, because we're a little bit different school. What I wanted to try to capture and accomplish here, this is last year's FCAT. Don't get overly confused. Last year's FCAT for all the whole chart, but the green or the darker bars are the students that we have this year. and that is by percentage the scores, the level scores, this year's students in the dark bar. The blue bar was the students we had last year that took the FCAT. So I backed up into Performance Matters, got some archive data because our students disappear, you know, off of Performance Matters unless you archive and back up a year. And so I just wanted to capture, this is the way all my FCAT charts are, capture what we accomplished last year, per se, by the blue, and what we have this year. Like you notice, just as an example, the level ones, we had fewer by percentage level ones last year than we were given this year, if you will. So we hope, and I hope to keep expanding on this chart, you know, the following year, and hopefully, you know, the incoming will be higher and the outgoing will be lower. That's our goal. So let's look at some of those, but as long as we're on math, this is our test number 1. I don't know if it has a more official name, but after the first 4.5 weeks, we do a DEA test starting this year, every 4.5 weeks. And so this is the percent correct. We got lots of grades. So I just put a basic chart together. 6th grade, you notice, got about 40% of those, however many questions they were, 10 to 15 questions, I suppose, correct. 7th grade, about 37, and I think the actual number is 38, 7th, 8th, and Algebra 1, 38% of the questions correct on that first DEA test. And we're fixing to go into a second session of testing here, I think on the 7th, I saw. So that's coming up, but I'll talk about this a little bit later, but this is an incredible tool for our math teacher to be able to assess the questions that the students got right, the questions they got wrong, and drill down to the standards and the benchmarks and specifically, and then go back and reteach. And because we're going to see this on our end of year test. We'll go on to the reading FCAT, and this is that first chart again. Like I explained to you, the dark bars are this year's students, still the 2014 FCAT. The blue bars were last year's students, the ones that left us, most of them did. And now the ones that we have are in the dark bar. And you can see again, an incredible number of level ones. But that's what we do here. That's what we do. And we'll look at the reading, the DEA reading scores, which were pretty good by our standards, I suppose you would say. We'd love to have 70% or 80% correct, but again, the DEA, I know this is the first year for that every 4.5 week assessment that we're doing, but I think it's going to pay big dividends in the long run if teachers, you know, will drill down, will use that data to say, hey, Johnny is struggling with this and this. I've got to go back and have some one-on-one session with Johnny, give Johnny some homework, whatever it happens to be, and catch him up on those specific standards. Now we'll go on to the FCAT writing, and this is that last year's students compared with this year's students. You can see they're kind of flip-flop there. We didn't have any level ones, just level 2s and level 3s. And then FCAT science. And again, we struggled in that a little bit with the students that went back at more level 1s, whereas this year we have less level 1s. That's a good thing, but and then we'll go on to our strategies, reading the ELA strategies. As we've always been able to do here, the reading and the ELA teachers are able to do a lot of collaboration. They have about 1.5 doors between them, and sometimes they're open, you know, most of the time. So they're able to do a lot of collaborative planning, a lot of co-teaching, and with a new reading teacher this year, that's very beneficial for Miss Lynch. If I give her a chance, you know, she'd probably tell you all about how wonderful it is to have another teacher who's been here and worked together with our previous reading teacher. Again, there's the DEA data analysis every 4.5 weeks, and then reteach. Assess the data and reteach. And we've already all been to the first next generation LFS training, and I was talking with Ms. Merritt back there There's another training in January. I was a little confused about that, but so we're obviously doing the LFS and the new LFS, which just streamlines everything. It just puts it really. A lot of us kind of, said, this is the way it ought to be. And sometime in the past, last year, the year before, we would do it that way anyway, to some degree. You know what I'm talking about? We on our own, on my own piece of paper. And then obviously lots of one-on-one instruction. We're very fortunate here. Very fortunate to have a low ratio, low numbers, and to be able to give that one-on-one time. While students sometimes don't like being here for our dress code or for lack of opportunities and extracurricular stuff, over and over again, we find that when it's time to go back, we have students that come to us who just were kicking and screaming, wanting to get out, what a terrible place this is, students may say, and they say, do I have to go back? Can't I just stay here and get my diploma here? And we take that as such a big compliment. They recognize that they're getting that small group and that one-on-one time that we're able to give them. Now, we don't want them coming back. We don't want them staying. Our job is to get them academically prepared, get them behaviorally prepared, and grow them up a little bit, and no recidivism. Lower that recidivism rate. But we do lots of one-on-one, and we're very fortunate to be able to do that. And then you can see the other strategies that we use: the writing, the core connection, extended thinking, close reading, advanced organizers. Move on to the math strategies. And, major areas of concern or expressions, geometry, and measurement. Again, the big thing this year, and I think it's going to really pay dividends, is that DEA data analysis. We're fortunate to have a paraprofessional in every class this year with our new math teachers. Wonderful opportunity to have all 7 periods to have that paraprofessional in there. And then to be able to already have the scientific calculators for the middle school students, because they're going to be able to use those, as I understand, on the new test and get them used to that new technology for them. Anyway, not just the little calculators, but the bigger calculators that have all that other stuff. Is that a correct word? Stuff?
We understand that.
All right, stuff and things and, yeah. I'm not a math teacher. I'm married to one, but I'm not a math teacher. All right. Well, more math strategies, whole group lessons. You can read some of the others. I try to highlight the darker ones. Small group instruction again. Very fortunate. I mean, how many students, when you get behind in a core subject like reading or math, I know y'all all that have been in the classroom have dealt with that student that you're on fractions and they can't multiply. You're starting algebraic expressions, and they're struggling with adding 3-digit numbers. What do you do with that student? They are lost in our bigger schools. But we're fortunate to be able to have that small group instruction, hands-on teacher instruction, and then again the next generation LFS that I've already mentioned. Technology strategies. We're very fortunate again this year. I don't know the exact number of computers that we have expanded to this year, but it's a lot. I went from 8 in my room to 19 computers available for students. We were able to expand the portable, which is now a computer lab, that's straight out that door across the way, to be a computer lab, and there are, I think, 20, 22, 23, and there can be about 4 more in there. We just have to get those flat screen monitors. Anybody has any extras? Just asking. Because we have everything else. We just need the monitors. Did I mention monitors? Okay. And you can read some of these strategies. It's an effective mode of lesson delivery if it's done right. And we run into some roadblocks occasionally because, I'm on the computer. But we do a lot of blended model learning on the computer. We're in the classroom with the book or the LFS style of learning, classroom model, and then now we're going to go and supplement with Success Maker, with Study Island, with GrabPoint, to get it multiple ways. That differentiated instruction was such a big deal. So you can see the Grad Point, the Success Maker, and the Sumter Virtual Leadership class, which we offer right here, which is a character-based goal setting, and we mostly use it with juniors and seniors. I'm fortunate to be able to teach that class, which I'm always looking for the right person. I think in the second year that they could benefit maybe more of the 9th and 10th grade take that class, because then we're going to see the benefit in our school district. We want to send them off to college with those kind of ideals and goals, but maybe we could have the 9th and 10th graders take it, and we could see some benefit in our school district in their 11th and 12th grade year. Because incredible curriculum and program for them to take. And then increased student on-task behavior because of our computer management system. We have a system called NetOps here, Vision software, which I can sit at my computer, I can be at my computer, and see and control every computer in the classroom. I can also see and control the computers that are in the lab across campus. Mr. Presley has a program on his computer, and he can sit in his office and see and control the computers in both of those rooms. He can come on and be observing a student working. He can come on and begin to chat with him, send a message. It just pops up on the student's screen. Hopefully it's, hey, great job, I see you're working hard. This is principal. It could be, I haven't seen the page move for 5 minutes, Are you reading? I'm going to page Mr. Anderson and see what's going on. But it's an incredible system to really increase student on-task behavior, because we don't want kids falling asleep, obviously. We don't want them just going through the motion. We want them engaged. Grad Point and Sumter Virtual. Grad Point is the new NovaNet. Some of you may know about NovaNet. In years past, we used it for remediation and grade recovery. Grad Point is the web-based application of that. And we use a lot of that. We started that last year, and then obviously Sumter Virtual. Classes taught online with a blended model. That's where there is a teacher in the room, maybe not every class period, but 2-3 days out of the week. And there's a teacher there, and then they're also doing it online, which really increases their ability to work through the curriculum and get a better grade. You can see some of the others. I really want to point this one out. Access at Home for students. Both the virtual school program and Grad Point are web-based. And they go home, they log on at home in the evenings and the weekends, especially if they get behind. I encourage them sometimes to get ahead. Possibly if they're doing credit recovery, those sorts of things. And we already have a student that's homebound. And it was, get material ready, send it. We have a teacher that's going to be overseeing that. And that particular student had 2 or 3 classes on Grad Point. And I was able to communicate with the homebound teacher and say, hey, does this student have access to a computer? If he does, here's the link. And he knows how to log on, and his work is all there. So that's a lot better than sending out a textbook, having work sent back, grading the work, communicate. It's automatic. That student is just like they're in my class on my computer screen. So that's been an incredible thing. And a virtual teacher on campus. Guess who? That's me. And a little surprise, I suppose. I want to give you a sample. I did this at the AGP. When was that? A year ago, right? And so I have an assignment that a student turned in. It was an inner map, it was called. This is from the leadership class. And, they could either do an essay about the content they had been learning, or they could draw what we call a map. And I have what the student wrote here. I'll try to explain it as we go along, but this is word for word what the student wrote about her drawing. She says, I chose to do an inner map because I've always enjoyed art more than writing. I feel as though I can express more that way. I chose to represent home by drawing a bed, which is where I dream about what I want to do in my future. And I included a quote from Walt Disney. I wish it was a little bigger so you could see it, but there's the part she's talking about. And Walt Disney quote says, "The difference between winning and losing is most often not quitting." She said she included that because it was my dream ever since I was a little girl to work in film, and Walt Disney is one of those few people who has accomplished that. I've always taken to heart what he says, and I know I will never quit trying to accomplish my dreams. The greatest challenge, and she moves to the next part of the challenge up there, I face in life currently is graduating high school and going on to college, which is the first step I need to take in achieving my dreams. I represented that by drawing a high school diploma, which I hope to receive within a few months. I'm a giant believer in the power of Starbucks. And this is one of my favorite parts. You notice that's a Starbucks. This young lady is an incredible artist, I thought. This was all sent over to me virtually, by the way. You know, I got this on my computer, basically just like this. I cropped it just a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, the student actually drew this on a piece of paper and then took a picture of it and then uploaded it and sent it to me, and then I got these words here. So, Starbucks. Let me find where I'm at. I'm a giant believer in the power of Starbucks, and whenever I have a drink from there, I always feel energized. So I decided to draw a Starbucks cup with love spelled out on it and a notebook featuring one of my favorite quotes from Audrey Hepburn as my energizer. The quote I used is, it's right here, "Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible." I use this quote because not only is Audrey Hepburn one of my favorite film actresses, but it's another quote I hold close to my heart to inspire me to never give up. The symbol I use for my wings is a book. This part right here. Because I always feel like when you read a really great book, you feel as though anything is possible. And I featured a quote from Mindy Kaling, an actress and screenwriter from The Office and her hit show, The Mindy Project, because I find her to be a great role model. She is very confident in herself, and she worked hard to get where she is today. Let's see if we can. It says, and she didn't quote it here, but it says, "Don't let people cast you as a side character in your relationships, in your jobs, or in your life." The last symbol on my inner map is a stop sign. And it is there to symbolize the breaks in my life. The breaks in life. There are times I feel as though I'm not good enough to achieve my dreams, that I haven't accomplished enough. I haven't worked hard enough to have earned the right to have my dreams come true. I try to fight those insecurities every day, though, and continue to work hard to achieve my dreams. So I thought this student did an excellent job. It's an excellent example of what can happen on virtual school. I didn't quote that one, did you? You want me to try to read it? The belief that I'm not good, she didn't, it wasn't a quote. The belief that I'm not good enough to achieve my dreams. So this assignment, the senior, this student's a senior. Yeah, this assignment, you know, asked the students, it was in that leadership class, and asked the students, you know, to really consider where they were at, where they were going, what's holding them up, what inspires them to move forward. A great motivator, I thought. We have an ESD unit here, a behavioral unit, and you'll notice that we have this all checked off. It meets the 3-to-1 ratio that's needed. It provides instruction with certified teachers. It addresses any certification issues. We're good. Provides co-teaching opportunities, and we're also incorporating character ed courses within that unit. And it's really working good because the students, if their behavior is where it should be, are allowed to come into, you know, the other classes. They come into my class, they come into Ms. Graves' class, Ms. Lynch's class on a daily basis. If they can maintain their behavior, which happens most of the time, by the way, and we're able to do some co-teaching. We have the ESD specialist right there, so it's been great so far. We have our behavioral management plans, the potentials counseling. She's not here, that counselor, but she is here, what, 3-4 days a week, it seems like. We have that counselor here able to work with those students that need whatever kind of personal counseling it is that may be required, or maybe they just need to try to get them back to where they need to be so they can go back and be successful. And our on-site behavior specialist this morning. Now, on to what really, no, I'm sorry, one slide ahead. I'm not that excited about professional development. I am, but okay, I'm sorry. Now, I thought I was one slide. She's observing me too. Oh yeah. Okay, so for professional development,
I got it on camera.
You got it on camera.
So no going back.
That was purposely built in for a break, right?
Yeah. Yes. Okay, professional development. Obviously, PD 360 is back in a big way, and it's big, and we're really trying to incorporate it. We're using it for our Ippy-Dippies. Our school-wide instructional focus is 1C and 1E on the Danielson framework, and that's setting instructional outcomes and designing coherent instruction. So we're working on that as a school and as a staff, faculty. We have our school-wide behavioral management, which we're pulling videos for the teachers to watch, is non-compliance, student non-compliance. There's lots of videos I've already found and have on the page for the students. And then also our school-wide expectations and rules, which I'll get to in just a minute. We're watching videos about those also. And you can see, obviously, the CPOMs is very, very big this year. Skyward, everybody knows about Skyward. Next Generation LFS, and of course MTSS training. We've already identified students, interventions are in place, and fidelity checks are happening on a regular basis. Scored back there. And then obviously performance matters. We have new teachers on campus, so we had that training a couple weeks ago, and they were just like, whoa, you know, very happy to be able to, one's reading and others math, to be able to take and go, oh, we have this ability to see our students, to drill right on down. So, big part of our training. Now, this is what I'm very excited about. PBS, positive behavioral system. Mr. Presley has brought this, I don't know what you call it, this idea, this attitude, this, we're going to do something, you know, bigger, better, different with these students here. And it's just catching on. So we have, you know, some school-wide expectations, which I'm kind of covering them up. This is in every room. These were the RAAP, R-A-A-A-P, was what you saw if you looked up on our sidewalk. They're in every room, they're in the cafeteria, they're everywhere. It's just a pervasive, you know, kind of environment talking about the RAAP. School-wide classroom rules, to have a slide for that, restroom rules, and then the cafeteria rules. You can see an example of our cafeteria rules. They're very basic, normal school rules, and we tried to keep them basic, but they're the same everywhere these students go. It's not, oh, we're going to Ms. Jones now, and, you know, and she makes us raise our hand, or she does this, she has this procedure, and we're going to Mr. Anderson, and you know, no, we have our teachers, and every one of us are on the same page, and we developed these as a faculty. So there's the RAAP, which you can see. Be respectful, be accountable, be attentive, active, and positive. And we feel like if a student will embrace this, they're going to be successful. They're going to be successful. If we want to make it a habit for them, we want to make it a lifestyle for them, so they can go back to their home school, and whatever motto or rules their home school has, this can be the foundation. You can come up with 100 rules out of these. You know, because if you do this, you're going to be successful. So we're very excited about that. And we came up with the teachers, Mr. Presley led the faculty in pre-planning to say, okay guys, this is our own creation. I know there's nothing new here. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We said, you guys meet, you guys decide. You know, what are we going to be as a school? What are we going to expect out of our students? So here's just an example of the classroom rules, which it's obvious, right? These are very basic, but they're the same. Every teacher, every day. We taught lessons on this the first week and a half of school. Occasionally we go back. We get new students in, and sometimes our old students have the incredible ability to forget, you know, but they're on the wall. And we go back and we reteach. sometimes, and we remind and we redirect to these standards. There's the restroom rules. Not bad rules. But what about number 2 here? You're only allowed 3 minutes in the restroom, that is. Clean up after yourself. I mean, it's obvious stuff, but you'll be surprised. We had issues in the past. We had issues in the past with restroom things, and now I don't know a single issue restroom-wise this year. Just because maybe the simplicity of it and the pervasiveness of it across the campus. I will not try to predict the next slide. I got in trouble with that a few minutes ago, didn't I? Positive Fridays. So the other part, this is just this PBS thing goes on all the time. This is one of the most exciting parts. Is on Fridays, students that come in here, middle school on this side, high school on that side, and the faculty's here, the staff is here, Mr. Presley's here. It's like a culmination to the week. Students are recognized for positive behaviors in class. We get an email on Wednesday, maybe early Thursday. Teachers, please submit at least or up to 3 names. 3 students, and write something about them that is positive. 2 or 3 sentences, maybe. And on Friday afternoon, in front of the whole middle school, high school, the faculty, the staff, the principal, Miss Williams is the one who actually does it. Stands and reads, just word for word. So Miss Nelson said that, Johnny, you did a great job this week. You stayed on task. You even helped another student. You were fully engaged. You participated. You get the point. And that's read, and their head swells, you know. And it's just incredible. And this started a month ago, month and a half ago. Once we got rolling, and it's starting to go downhill now. You know, it's just taking off, and I really want to talk about this. We upped it another level. We upped it another level a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, downhill wasn't the right word.
I don't know if you're laughing at me or with me. We decided, and Mr. Presley initiated, we're going to call home by grade. I got the 8th grade. Every teacher got a grade, sometimes 2 grades, depending on the how many students are in each grade. There's a lot in 8th grade, about 15. So, and I got the cards from the office, these PBS cards, and I had until Friday of that week, a couple weeks ago, to call home and to talk to a parent or guardian and say, hey, I'm calling on Billy's behalf, and of course, our students' parents are like, well, what's that? You know, what's going on? What do you do? What do you do? You know, I'm serious. I get goosebumps. It floored them. And all the teachers said this. You get the opportunity to talk to some later. I had a parent cry on the phone. I had a grandfather say, he's not off the bus yet, because I was doing it right after school. He's not off the bus yet, but when he gets off the bus, I'm going to give him a big old hug. You know, and I had another parent say, it was a stepdad actually, he said, are you sure we're talking about the same kid? Are you sure? He kept saying that over and over. I said, well, let me read it again. Let me read it again. And so it's culture that we're working on at this school. We're taking it out to the parents, where that foundation can be laid with the parents, the guardians, the grandparents, aunts, and uncles, and it'll just hopefully carry on. I believe it will. If we continue and are faithful to work this system, or whatever you want to call it. And it's a change of attitude, really. Even on the teachers' parts. Okay, it's change of attitude on administrations. Like, no, these kids are somebody. They can be somebody. And every opportunity that we have to tell them, look for something, find something positive. I've had parents call and say, this is the first A that Billy has ever got, you know? And sometimes I've even used this, I'll be honest, I've used this to just find a twinkle of something in a student who's really headed down the wrong path. And say, you know what, I put you up for the PBS card, it gets read out, and your parent's going to get called, it's a positive thing. And it has initiated conversation between teacher and student, you know? I want to get that. I want to get that PBS. Who's getting PBS this week, Mr. Anderson? You know, will you do me? Have I been good enough? What do I have to do to get it? And it's turning the thing around. It's turning their culture around. It's incredible. All right, see, you can see why. I'm sorry. Nothing against PD, but
I have to say it does seem more exciting.
Okay, Sonny's Kids with Character, which we're continuing. We've done that in the past, and we have 5 students that once those PBS cards are read out, they're put in a hat for those 2 weeks, and 5 students are drawn out, and they get to go to Sonny's with the principal and just have, you know, just a meal and a little time, a little downtime, if you will. Mr. Presley's a real person. I am working on him allowing a teacher to be able to take Sonny's. We're talking about that. We're talking about that. I think I can handle it. Now, it's only 5 kids, you know, and I have been to a restaurant before. So, not very often, but I've been. And then this is a piece here. I thought no big deal, but bi-weekly teacher recognition every 2 weeks, and I got the Mickey Mouse a week and a half ago or so. You know, along with the PBS Fridays when all the students are being recognized and the cards are read. Mr. Presley will say, "All right, it's time for a teacher to be recognized," and he'll read basically the same kind of thing. For Miss Williams this week, she went the extra mile because she helped do this and this and you get a little Mickey Mouse pin. And you think that's nothing, but let me tell you, adults are not immune to praise. We'll work harder. And I did. I was like, oh, I got to do it, you know. I need to bring it back, I guess. We have to use the same picture. All right. Sorry. Now, I want you to know, this is just a picture of the board in the other room. Okay, and here's the cards. They put the cards up to be displayed. When you go out and go through that room, up against that wall, I just took a picture of the PBS cards. And go read some of the comments by the teachers that were read to parents, that were read out loud to students. So that's part of what we're doing. And here's just a glimmer of the results. Notice this is Mr. Presley put this together, and this is just a pie chart of the long forms. This has been a week or so ago, but these were our statistics. 85% of the students at Sumter Alternative had no long forms. No long forms. That was 50 students at the time. 85% of our population. I tied directly back to those PBS slides, not PBS slides, PBS slides. 10% had 1 long form at that point. That was 6 students. That represents 6 students that had 1 long form, and then 5% had 2 long forms. That was 3 students that had 2 long forms at this point in time. And we are anticipating that those numbers go down. If we are consistent with our PBS, with our praise, I believe they will go down. With our expectations, with the consistent rules across the board. And then here's one more slide about discipline. And it just simply shows short form infractions. And the one that really stands out is refuse to comply, non-compliance. And that's our focus for PD 360. Is students, well, I don't want to do my work. Well, just put your head in. No, Johnny, come on. You want to get up, get a drink of water? You know, we even try to be positive about that. You know, what can I help you do? I'm not just write you up. What can I help you do? How can I intervene? Go get a sip of water. Walk around the room. We'll call somebody, maybe if you have to walk around campus. We want you to be successful. So non-compliance is the biggest issue that we have had to this point. And we are really pulling down the PD 360 videos to do some professional development that we're excited about. All right, this is one of my favorite slides too, by the way. Yay. Mrs. Dustin has her hand up back there.
I happen to be the liaison for Sumter Alternatives this year, and I stopped by in July as the liaison. Mr. Presley didn't know I was coming, and on his desk was the PBS book. He said, I want to get into this year. And then I stopped by after school started and did an unscheduled stop. Then I happened to pop, he invited me to sit in as he was doing one of his principal chats. And I happened to come by in the school because I try to come by here once a week if at all possible. And I've watched them do the rewards with students and calling the kids in. So he's put feet to his the PBS plan for this school and done a lot of work with the teachers, and almost everything that I've observed with him doing the PBS, he didn't know it was coming at that time, so it wasn't like he could plan it, you know. But I've caught him implementing this at the school and doing it with the teachers and with the students, and really putting action to this. So it's not just for the slides up here, it's really putting feet into action for the students. And I've had some, since I knew a lot of these students from other schools, they've really done a lot of things. And I've had conversations with students and they felt good about this part that they've been doing at the school.
Thank you, Ms. Dustin. It's true. It's true. We really are trying to make a positive culture here. Yes, Ms. McKee.
I want to congratulate you on doing a good job of the explaining the virtual. That can be a very confusing issue, especially with blended and all the different ways we offer that here at this school. Doing more of that every year. You did a really good job of making that clear, that it is embedded and integrated into the school and monitored very closely. So, and I think what you meant to say that it was going downhill but picking up speed.
Yes. It was the snowball going downhill.
There you go. There you go.
I just knew, you're right, going downhill meaning getting bigger as it goes.
Yes.
Thank you for
And I have seen some of the
clarifying.
emails and some of the comments from
Thank
the
you.
parents, and that is very exciting. That I think you are making it. Very good stuff.
Well, I just think that you should be a speaker in all the schools with your enthusiasm. Because you just did a great job in your enthusiasm to deal with what you're dealing with, and the whole staff is just wonderful. And you make it sound really positive and really your heart is into it.
It is positive.
And I love the computer management system. Of course, I'm not in computer stuff all day like everybody else, but I think that's phenomenal to see what each student's doing.
It really is, and we almost have to, have systems like that in place in the virtual school and the grad point, because there's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 teachers, and we're teaching 7 grades and multiple subjects. I mean, just 7, 8, 9, 10 actual curriculum. So it's an impossible task without that ability to kind of spread it out, if you will.
And the student that did the drawing up there, she could be such a role model for others trying to put their thoughts on paper too. I mean, she could have a role model with just that right there to give others ideas.
I was so impressed.
That was very impressive.
I got that assignment about 4 or 5 days before, ago. And I was like, that's
That was
the one.
great.
That's it.
And the Positive Fridays is so good, but I was wondering if maybe every now and then you'd have students say something positive about another student once in a while. So a student recognizes, oh, they're really sitting still today and they're doing their work, whatever. Maybe a student every now and then could write something nice about another one. Because when they want to come here, a lot of times when they come before us, they don't want to come here, and they think, oh, I don't like those people that are going there, whatever. So maybe they'll see the people in a little bit different light if they see, oh, he had a problem just like me, he's doing good, whatever.
That's a great idea. It reminds me that this year, so far, I've had more positive comments directed towards me as a teacher by students. So it catches. It catches, and they're like, oh, well, this is what you do, and yeah, you give it back. Pay it forward, you get it back. And I've had a lot of comments.
Maybe the students can start recognizing other students as well as
Yes.
Well,
right.
this presentation has really accentuated the positive, and I can see Mr. Presley's influence throughout this whole thing. And I commend him on doing a qualitative job among all of the players. You know, we're almost 2 months into the school year now. Isn't that amazing? Sumter Alternative has an inherent challenge. And I think that what you've laid out here addresses a lot of the challenges. And every day is a different scenario for you. You have new people, and I think that they complement, you know, the entire staff. Parent involvement in the phone calls. That is a great twist. You know, I assume that came from collaboration with you and Mr. Presley and others. I think that parent involvement is probably the most critical thing that you're going to experience if it accentuates the positive, as I said, and I think you've done that. So tell me about the dress code. What's the dress code here?
Might have to defer that one, but they're pretty much khaki pants, blue pants. We don't see a lot of those, but dress pants, no jeans. And the shirt colors can be blue, yellow,
It's a
red.
uniform, and that's accurate what you're saying too, but it's simply a uniform dress code policy. With the exception of Fridays, if our students have not been absent from school or receive a short form or higher, then they can have dress down Fridays and wear normal clothes. But the teachers during pre-planning also created a standard for dress down Fridays. It was kind of vague during pre-planning. The teachers wanted to put some specific standards in place to address that, so that the definition of dress down normal clothes for students may be a little different than what we're going to allow. So we kind of had to straighten that out. The teachers built that, and that's pretty much our dress code. It's a uniform dress code policy that's monitored when you first get off the buses.
Makes a big difference.
Yes.
You know, I've been on the board 8 years, and this is the best Sumter Alternative presentation I've sat through. So thank you.
If I can mention, Mr. President, a comment I made to him about the dress down Friday, and they do get a lot more leeway. I have been impressed with the choices that especially some of the young ladies have made. I mean, because, you know, they're given some leeway and they can kind of choose this way, but they have, several of them have chosen, it looks like they're coming ready to go to church almost. I'm like, wow. And I've commented to them, you seen that, Miss Gordon, a couple of them? And I'm like, wow, you know, I mean, something you almost don't see a teenager wear, you know? And of course, I comment on the fact that just really looks impressive. You know, it's just, we're doing a great job here this morning. Sorry.
Let me say that the changes that I've seen here in this program, like Mr. Evans said, some of the most positive I've seen in this school setting. One of the questions I wanted to ask was, did you make contact with the parents? Did you discuss with them about, did they see any of the changes to the classroom expectations, cafeteria, restaurant? Are they doing some of these things that they're following through here, or doing at home?
You might
kind of tapped into a phase 4 of this, which is bringing the parents to the point of writing cards from their houses and send them to the school to tell us what positive things are going on at home. We haven't gotten that far yet because we're still building the initial stage of school-based PBS. But that is like a 4th phase of it.
Thank you.
That's it.
When you have passion for the students that you are teaching and working with every day, which I think everybody in here does, whether you're a new teacher, been here a while or long term, and essentially when you're planning, targeting the students' needs, and creating ways to change their not so popular behaviors, not so acceptable behaviors, the things that cause them to be located here. And I'm hoping for them, as they're learning to be self-monitor, that they're understanding that this is the way it is out in the world, the expectations is not just school. And I'm sure as they're here longer, they get that. There have been some other suggestions made just to encourage you to keep on doing what you're doing and staying excited, because when the students see that you are happy and excited about what you're doing and your modeling behavior, even the ones who are coming from really serious problematic issues begin to change. You are changing culture in them and their homes, because their homes aren't reflective always of their school setting. But you're doing a great job. Your academics are showing growth. And I have parents call me that say, you don't have to sit in there. And I'm well, that's your option that's available. And I talked to one this morning. I do the insurance somewhere that I had to deal with, and she's a parent of the student was here. And I said, how are things going? She says, better every day. So there again is another witness of what you're doing. So Mr. Presley, all the staff, thank you very much. This is my last winter. So I say thank you and just wish you the best. And you begin to work with your students every single day. It's 2 months into the year, a long way to go. But look what you're doing now, how well you're doing, and it can only get better if you implement these plans. Thank you very much.
Any other staff comments before I?
Excellent. You did an excellent job. It's hard to not get motivated just watching you. One thing I have really noticed today is the unity of the staff back here. There's a different feel with the staff, and it's like they're all here, they're all agreeing, they're all a part of it, and they've been a part of it from pre-planning when we were involving them, and it's just really obvious to me back there, so I wanted to bring that out. Also, I bet these parents don't block the phone calls like they do in the regular schools. Caller ID, no, I don't want to talk to the school. And how many children do you have, Mr. Anderson? Yourself?
A lot.
What is that number, Mr. Anderson?
Ma'am?
What is that number?
Oh, it varies. I have 8 personal,
You have 8 children.
biological, yes.
Okay, so I wanted to
Reception.
point out that that's probably the reason that you don't go to a restaurant very often.
This is true. You'd be surprised if you do beans and rice.
Lastly, I know we've joked about eating, but I do want to give you all kudos on the fact that you have targeted 2 very specific components of Domain 1 as a faculty, and 1 behavior, the non-compliance. And I think when you are very targeted in your PD and very targeted in your collaboration, which Sophie has been sharing, you're going to see great things. And we're seeing great things, and you did a great job. Great job. So very proud to see.
I just need your SIP plan.
You must have played.
Yeah, because that's what the board actually approves, not the presentation, so I need your SIP plan.
Okay. Get you the SIP.
Thank you.
That's the season.
What time do you have to be at the high school? I think that clock's slow. I think that clock is slow. Just a couple observations, but I know you have about 15 minutes.
Hold on, I
This
know.
ballpark, I think, yeah.
Ballpark. I'm so thankful for this board. You keep me all the data.
How many actually behave?
Every unit, 40 are in the behavior unit, at 6-8% are studying.
How many?
6-8%, 40 of them are in the behavior unit. And 19 are in academic place. 30%.
See, behavior unit and academic. Trying to get that explained. Curious, what happened, okay, you got 4.5 week days. At 4.5 weeks, all of a sudden you know something you didn't know. Right? You know what classes, what students know, and don't know based on what happens to that day. What do you do? Now you know something you didn't know, but it'll be good to do something. What do you do?
Now specifics and areas, tell you what.
Well, whichever one you do the HS, whether it's science or language arts or.
You pull that, even though I don't.
Now what?
Well, you pull that data, you drill down to the specific benchmark or standard, and you find, you know, the questions that were aligned to that, and if the student didn't get that right, you make a plan to reteach. You may have, it may be a whole group instruction. For us, we're fortunate, we can actually, especially in math, because there's a pair there with the teacher, you can, you know, set, you know, I'm taking these 3, 4 students that I've identified based on, you know, drilling down on that test, and I'm helping them with their long division or whatever the specific thing happens to be. Catch them up, move it forward. Do it again at none for it.
And the curriculum maps, everybody's on board with that, and what's up with the challenge that you have.
We had a training on that a couple weeks ago, well, more than a couple weeks ago now. Maybe right at the beginning of school so all the teachers, especially the new teachers, could get on. That's a totally different website, a totally different, you know, it's new for everybody. But, you know.
Okay. And the 2 Danielson goals, setting outcomes and coherent instruction. I don't think it's a great way. That certainly impacts outcomes by choosing instruction. So I want to compliment you on that. Also, I want to compliment you on school improvement plan. I agree with District Evans. District Evans, I go a step farther. I think this is the best school improvement plan of the year so far.
You wonder where I get my sarcasm.
We receive it. We'll take it.
We will take it.
No, I'm serious. I think you did a great job. Once we see the video back, I hear it makes you look older and fatter. You know, that could be a problem for you. So I do want to compliment you, compliment the school staff. Thank you for being here. That's a big thing. You know, that shows a lot. The staff hanging around and chooses to stay, and I'm sure there might have been some children that. Who knows? You might pick one of you to go to 7th. Keep plugging, you know, you might get. But that's a big deal, and it shows a lot of people here. So congratulations. Well done, school improvement plan. Looking forward to the results that you get this year, because at the end of the day, what's going to matter is what are we able to do, one of the outcomes that we produce. And I know at this campus, maybe more so than anywhere else, it's not just going to be about academics. Because you are about academics, you have a whole nother layer of behavior and change of attitude. Positive behavior support, I think, is a great model to utilize, especially in the time that we have. Let's face it, they can probably get mad and break that and their own share of personal, community, and homes. And I'm not sure that that is really effective. Kids like that any time, but I think it's certainly not effective. It's the only model we have. So congratulations to all of you. I'm serious. I think you have a great
I think at the end of this year, you're going to have more success stories because of what you've implemented. And I mean this, that you'll be able to be proud of what you've accomplished at the end of the school year. You know, this is when school improvement presentation should take place in the fall. I mean, to have them in the spring is kind of like after the fact. You know, you're setting the stage for what the next few months are going to generate, and I hope that and I think it will be, in large part, because what you have done will be success stories.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other comments, staff? Thank you, guys. Mr. President, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, then we'll end close. I will not allow us to end without giving some specific kudos to the faculty and staff members here who bought into this plan and pre-planned. This is their doing. Mr. Anderson and I really wanted to do a great job, and I think he did a great job presenting what the faculty and staff have committed to. Ms. Harvard, Ms. Gray, Ms. Collins, Ms. Ward, who's joining us, and Mr. Napoleon is full of wealth of information and almost present any topic to them. We get some positive feedback on it and some commitment to find out if he does not know, and that's priceless, you know, coming in as a new person, building on the foundation that was already here. Mr. Rocker did a great job with this school, and it was not hard to get the right environment. So I want to thank the faculty and staff for their participation. Great job, Mr. Anderson, for presenting. Thank you all for participating. We do have some light refreshments. We know that South Sumter High School is next, and we know the spread that they lay out, and I'll be joining that spread. So we didn't do much, but there is some water and some small snacks. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.